Hey everyone, Felix from Nintendo Life, and recently we did a chat where we went over 12 Switch 1 games that are getting a free upgrade on Switch 2. Now, at the time we weren't really sure what the upgrades were, but now we've gotten the actual, specs. What do these games, what are they gonna have? And to talk all about it, well, I have the wonderful Mr. Alex along with me.
Hey!
And Alex, actually, won't you take the first game on the list, which is ARMS? What do the updates include?
It is ARMS. So yes, Nintendo are being a little bit vague about some of the details, but as they detail, ARMS, the update will include visuals optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 and high-resolution TVs with improved image quality. I think we can infer from that up to 4K. Not necessarily 4K, could be 1440p, could be something in between, but presumably it's going to be above 1080p, which the original was. Frame rate optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 for smoother movement, even when playing with 3 or more players. This is a big thing because 4-player split screen on ARMS 1. I say that like there's an ARMS 2. I'm just getting Switch and Switch 2 mixed up in my brain. It was always, the frame rate was cut in half, so we can presume that it's going to be 60 frames a second when you're doing 4-player split screen, which is very nice. And maybe 120 hertz single player. We don't know. They don't specify. But that's something I'm looking forward to.
Look what game I just bought.
Oh,
It's
well
very
done.
good timing.
Well
when
done.
I was on vacation,
and
it was on sale for €20. So
that's very good. It's a good game. Yeah. And HDR support, so color.
Yes.
Simple.
Yeah, very excited to try that out. Still haven't really played ARMS. I think I played the test punch thing that was a long while ago, but that was about it. The next game on the list is Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain. Now, the update here includes game share support. Up to 4 people can play in party mode and share locally or share online via game chat. Not too much there. That is essentially what I thought most of these updates were going to be. A lot of the updates are actually include more than I thought they would have. The next one, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Won't you take that away, Alex?
Sure thing. Visuals have been updated, optimized for Nintendo Switch, same as they said with ARMS. So I think, again, up to 4K, but not necessarily 4K. Don't get too excited just yet. HDR support and game share support. 2 people can play across all the courses and share locally or share online via game chat.
Nice.
Very simple, but effective.
I'm excited to see if it will be so when you are 2 people, will you then have your own? If you manipulate the screen, will it also affect the other player? Or will you have your own? Because that is the main issue with 2-player.
It is a big issue, yeah.
So I really hope that it actually fixes that issue and you can play properly like that. Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics includes some game share support. Up to 4 people can play 34 games and share locally and share online by game chat. So that again, there's certain games, certain card games where it just makes sense. They even have their own app where you could download a thing, and it was like one of 3 things.
Yeah, like a sort of like a little sort of hemmed back version that had only a few little bits, and you couldn't play it solo. You could only play it online. It was an interesting idea. It kind of game share before game share.
Yeah, exactly.
A bit more download play.
But the next one, Alex, Game Builder Garage.
Game Builder Garage, as I might say, yes.
You actually predicted what they would have. And
yeah. It's basically what I said. Minus one thing. Visuals optimized for Nintendo Switch to higher resolution. Supports Joy-Con 2 mouse controls, which is exactly what I thought was going to happen. It was not exactly a spicy prediction. But also I was hoping that they would do more nodes. They haven't said that. So it does look like it's going to be the same game, but just, slightly higher resolution mouse controls. Slightly disappointing that there aren't more node options, but, maybe they want parity between, sort of the different versions.
Yeah. The next one, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, includes visuals optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 display and high-resolution TVs for improved image quality. Now, it is interesting that this game is here and not Mario Wonder. I imagine it's because they're going to do a Switch 2, proper version of Mario Wonder, maybe with some DLC and stuff like that. But it is still nice. I imagine it's going to look really nice. I can't wait for Mario Wonder in 4K. That's going to be really, really nice.
Yeah, I think it's... I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the new series, but It should look decent. It's going to be interesting to see it, sort of really souped up, as clean and as crisp as more so than we've ever seen.
It can look
Speaking of which, the next game, which shall I do both of them because they're the same?
Yeah, just do both of them.
Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. Visuals optimized, so higher resolution. Frame rate improved for smoother movement on Nintendo Switch 2. That is a low bar, sir. That is a low bar. Basically it's just, visuals and performance upgrade. I do think that this is going to... I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a good thing. I'm not the biggest fan at all of Scarlet and Violet, but I do think that this is going to highlight the games... It's going to make the games in some ways look worse because it's not going to be hidden behind a low resolution. It's going to highlight the the really basic repeated textures and stuff like that.
There has actually been some screenshots revealed of how it will look.
There were. Yeah,
so
two.
I'll put
I think
those on screen right now.
Yeah, two. I think fairly selective screenshots, should we say? Not looking at the repeated mountainside pattern and stuff like that.
I do think, though, that it's going to give a new life to these games, because at least people like me was held aback, not because it looked ugly, but because it ran poorly.
Oh, it did run.
If they can, smooth out those things, I would be much more inclined to give it a fair shot.
Yeah.
But the next game, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, has a lot of stuff here. So let me.
There's a lot, yeah.
Them. The visuals are optimized for Nintendo Switch 2. Frame rate optimized for smoother movement, also includes Bowser's Fury. And I imagine that is that it doesn't cut in half when you have it in handheld mode. And then we have HDR support, which only supports Bowser's Fury. Now,
this is interesting. I wonder if this is a hangover from the Wii U, because you also see it for things like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. That was before the Deluxe, that was a Wii U game. And maybe there's something in there, maybe, I really don't know, but maybe there's something in the code or the way that the graphics are rendered, something like that, where HDR just isn't going to be, isn't going to be practical. I don't know. I am actually quite keen to see, because there are so many instances where HDR supported, but HDR not supported, how the Switch is going to switch between, if you'll pardon the pun, between the two. Because is it going to... Yeah, because, I mean, like, when it happens on Xbox and stuff like that, the signal cuts out.
Yeah.
And have they found a way around that? Maybe they have their own... It has its own software sort of like upsampling, so it's always sending an HDR signal, but it won't actually... Not all the content will be HDR. I'm keen to see it.
Yes. The next one, though, I'm very excited to see how that.
You missed the game share support.
Oh no! We got too hooked up. Yeah, okay, let's go with the game share support. Up to 4 people can play Super Mario 3D World. In Bowser's Fury, 2 people can play together, with one player controlling Mario and the other controlling Bowser Jr. And this can be shared locally or shared online via game chat. Now, again, the same with, in Captain Toad. I hope that you will have your own screen with your own camera, so you can control everything and you can run around instead of... Because I've played 3D World with other people, and my main complaint was that some people would go really fast and other people would go really slow, and it would be kind of mismatched, and it would just be nice if you could look at where you wanted to look and take it at your own pace. Of course, if one player finishes the map, then that's that, but it was a little bit restrictive with the zoomed-in camera, so I hope that they have found a way around that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it.
Maybe not.
I think because the whole idea, there's a lot of mechanics that are tied to the screen space. Not loads, but, things like going off, bubbling, and things like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I'd like to be proven wrong, because I think it would be better with individual screens, but would it go too far away from their original design, Yeah,
time will tell. Time will also tell how good Super Mario Odyssey will look, right, Alex?
Yes. Once again, we've got visuals optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 and high-resolution TVs, and HDR support, and then game share support. 2 people can play together, with one player controlling Mario and the other controlling Cappy. Again, are they going to have individual screens? We'll have to wait and see. Share locally or share online via game chat. Simple. That's a simple one.
Yeah, 4K, like really high-res Mario Odyssey. I'm very, very excited to see that. It's going to look really
I think it's going to look great.
And then the last 2 games, I'm just going to take them together. We have Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and Zelda Link's Awakening, and they have the same 2 things in their update. Visuals, optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 display, high-resolution TVs for improved image quality and HDR support. Not anything about frame rates, which I've seen people online speculate about, and I agree with the people that have speculated, is that these 2 games want to hit 60 already. It's not like they add any frame rates, so it's just my thinking is that it's going to be more stable, right? And it's just going to naturally, it's not going to be any frame dips.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense because they do both games both hit 60. The issues are when it drops to 30 in that, or indeed lower or in between, and those are performance issues. It's not increasing the cap. There is no cap to increase. 60 is all it could ever do on Switch 1. And presumably that means that we're not going to get 120 hertz on here, but I wouldn't expect that, to be honest. It's not clear whether we're getting 120 hertz on anything here. I'd like to think ARMS will go 120 hertz. I think that would be...
Yeah, they all optimized for Nintendo Switch 2 display and high-resolution TVs for improved image quality. But yeah, it doesn't really say anything about... Well, when it says frame rates, it does specify frame rate optimized, but what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So
They're keeping it vague. I think Nintendo always keep it a bit vague, don't they?
Yeah. But this was more than I thought. I'm pleasantly surprised to see all these updates, and I'm very excited to try Mario Odyssey and ARMS and all that sort of stuff. But what do you all think? Are you happy to see these updates? Do you wish they included more, even though it's for free? Or are you just really nice and satisfied? Wow, satisfied. Yes. Well, that was everything from us. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Felix and Alex from Nintendo Life.